you doing, guys and gals? My name's Doug Wilson, and this is Yellowhawk Customs Outdoors. Okay, it's just about backpacking season for me. A lot of other guys too. I'm not really a summer and spring backpacker. I kind of like to get out there in the fall and winter, right? I just like it better in the fall and winter. That's about what it amounts to. I just like it out there in cold weather, okay? So I thought what we would do is I would share with you some of the backpacking equipment that I use currently, all right? As you all know, if you're a regular to this channel, I've been a backpacker since I was 10 years old, right? And it's kind of like a religion to me. I'm one of those people that when I delve into something, I do it like 180%, right? So I've always felt that way about backpacking. It is my way to get out into nature, to see the wondrous things that the Creator has, made for us. So that's my kind of outlet, my recharge, backpacking, okay? So I thought I would start with stoves, okay? Stoves are pretty important, so got to start somewhere. So I'm going to show you some stoves real quick. Here's some stoves right here, okay? These are the ones I currently use. I also use a Whisper Light, MSR Whisper Light liquid fuel stove. I'm not going to include that in here because I don't use it that often, and I'll tell you why. Well, one reason is because it's heavier than these, okay? The stove and the fuel, pretty heavy. So here's the stoves that I generally use. This is an alcohol stove here. I'm going to pull all this out during this video and explain it to you. Show you how it works and explain why I use what I use. You guys stay tuned. We're going to get right to it and talk about backpacking stoves. Okay, so I thought about doing this outside, but it's raining cats and dogs right now. So, okay, so real quick, well, not real quick, but I'm going to go from left to right. I've included that liquid fuel stove that I was talking about. This is the MSR Whisper Light. Okay, they have several versions of this. There's a Whisper Light International, a Whisper Light Shaker Jet. There's a couple of different. Let's see what else is in here. All kinds of shit. This is a little maintenance kit for it. Okay. And it comes with its own windscreen right out of the box. I generally just use this one, right? The one that I built for the MSR reactor for this stove, okay? But this is it right here. I'll get to it later, right? All right, so the first stove that I'd like to talk about, and the one that I use the most, is the MSR reactor, okay? There are other stoves that MSR makes, builds, whatever, that are very similar to this. The wind burner, there's a couple others, okay? In my opinion, this one is the best for me, okay? It is all around the best stove for me, right? High BTUs, I tell you, it basically sips fuel, right? Because of the way the burner works, okay? So I'm going to open this thing up, all right? Now this is a 1 liter pot right here, 1 liter, okay? It came with this one. Now this was a Christmas present from a knife company, but it came with this one, right? This is pretty sure it's a 1.5 or 2 liter, okay? But I usually just cook for myself and the dog. who is, by the way, pulling through her surgery nicely. There she is. Let's take a look at her. Oh, Kiva, Kiva. There she is. Oh, my baby girl. Oh, stay. Okay, so let me get it back here. Okay. Christ, I'm getting old. Okay, so let me take the stove out, right? And I am going to show you how it works. Now, I have to say this because somebody in the comments is going to get ripped over this. I am comfortable with lighting this stove indoors. I'm comfortable with it, okay? I've been doing this a long time. Now, could something happen? Absolutely, right? I could make a mistake and this whole house would go up. Probably not, though. I'm comfortable with not doing that, okay? I'm pretty good at using this stuff, okay? So let me get a... Aha! There it is. Stay, baby. There we go. Okay, a lighter, okay? Okay, so... the 1 liter pot, it's good for me, an individual, okay? I virtually never boil more than close to a liter of water, okay? It's usually less than that, a couple of cups, okay? So, this is what I use. Now you can see these fins on the bottom of the pot there. That's called a heat exchanger, okay? Basically what it does is it increases the surface area of the bottom of the pot and allows that flame, that heat, to boil the water quickly, okay? Because instead of just heating up the bottom of a pot, you're heating up every one of these fins that's pumping even more heat into that area, and it gets super hot, okay? This stove is one of the most efficient on the market, right? It's a fuel saver, okay? And what I want to say about fuel is these are the canisters that it uses. This is an 8-ounce canister. There's several different companies that make these, okay? Here's one from Primus, you know. Different companies make them, okay? They're all about the same. Now, on the market now, there are some newer blends coming out, propane, butane, winter blends, but I have not seen one yet that really works well in the winter. I still need this screen, okay? Because I tell you, cold weather really screws with these stoves. And what it does is it decreases the pressure in the can and doesn't allow the pressure to push the gas out. Okay, that's basically how it works. Okay, the hotter this canister is, the warmer it is, the higher the pressure inside, the more gas that comes out when you twist that nozzle. Okay, so these are the canisters. I usually use 8-ounce. They come in 4, 8, and 16. There might even be bigger ones, you know, 32-ounce, whatever. I don't know. Okay, but these are the ones I usually use. I think the small ones are too small and the big ones are too big, right? So for a week of cooking, boiling water twice a day, I use up about 2 of these cans in an entire week. And just for comparison purposes, other stoves might use 3 in a week or whatever, okay? So the weight savings is there in canisters, okay? And over the long haul, like a through hike, it saves you a lot of weight. You're carrying a lot less weight, okay? These things weigh whatever they weigh, okay? I never could figure out if 8 ounces of fuel that weighs 8 ounces. I think it weighs more than that, okay? So anyway, this is the burner head right here, okay? Now, I don't pretend to know how it works. All I know is this is a very efficient burner head when you put this pot on top of it, okay? Because it completely encloses the heating element, okay? So this is what we're going to do. First thing you got to do is turn it off, okay? Turn it off with this thing, right? This twister thing, right? Twist the burner head on, and I kind of listen to it, right? It talks to me, right? So it's ready right now. Give it a little bit more, just firm, not really tight. There's an O-ring there that could wear out if you're overly aggressive with it, okay? And basically, I'm just going to show you how it's lit, okay? Now, I got a fan on and the air conditioner, okay? It's pretty hot and humid today, all right? So let's see what we can do. All right, there we go. Oh, sorry, babe. Come on, lay down. Lay down. I'm sorry. I forgot you don't like fire. Go ahead. All right, go ahead, go. Get on the bed. Go ahead, go. Up. All right, so there it is. And it's in full, cook mode right now, okay? This thing basically, as far as cooking is concerned, has two settings, high and off, okay? It's not a simmering stove. It's a boiling water stove. That's what this stove does best, okay? So if you're looking for a stove that simmers, right, you want to cook pancakes and all that out in the bush, this probably isn't the stove for you, okay? All right? Then, I mean, you can adjust it. You can see how it gets lighter as you turn it off, it gets darker. But as far as heat output, it's still putting out a lot of heat, even in the lowest setting. And at one point, it goes out, okay? So I'm going to turn it out. Boom, done, okay? It turns off very quickly as well, okay? Some stoves don't. They linger, they flicker, So when it's lit, you put your pot on top, right? You make sure that you put a lid on it too, okay? You always, when you're boiling water or cooking in the backcountry, you always want to put a lid on your pot, okay? I tell you, even if it's a piece of wood, a leaf, a giant elephant ear leaf or whatever, okay? It makes a dramatic difference, trust me, okay? It'll boil like, I don't know, a minute quicker if you put a lid on it, okay? Okay? So there it is. There's the MSR reactor system, okay? I love systems, man. Okay, so I want to show you what I do in the winter when I use this stove, okay? And in my opinion, you have to do this with a canister stove, but you got to be careful, okay? This is another one of those things where someone's going to comment that you could blow yourself up, okay? And I guess potentially you could. It's never happened to me. I mean, I've been doing this for forever, right? So, and in the winter it gets pretty cold, okay? So basically what I do is I put that around the fuel bottle, and it's also around the flame portion of the stove, okay? So basically what I have now is I have a bottle heater, okay, that keeps warm air inside this enclosure, and I tell you, it doesn't take a lot of warm air to heat that bottle up. That's why it works so well. It doesn't take a lot. It can be, minus 10 degrees, and there's still enough heat in there building up, because that thing gets really hot. But I tell you, the bottle, it never gets hot itself, because as the bottle releases gas, it freezes. So there's a balance there between cold and warm inside this system that I've created, okay? All I know is it works, and it works well, okay? But you got to use this windscreen. These stoves do not work well in the winter. Now, I know there's probably somebody out there saying, oh, my stove works great in the winter. I don't have to put a windscreen around it. Yeah, with a new fuel bottle, yeah, it will work great for about half hour or so. Then, the fuel gets to be about halfway, and then it stops working, right? So a lot of guys don't go that far with it, right? I get everything I can out of every bottle, all right? So when there's just a little bit of fuel in the bottle, you definitely need this, okay? I use it from day one, okay? Full bottle all the way down to nothing, okay? So there it is, right? And I kind of just listen to it. I know the stove well. I listen to it. I know how it works. I know how it runs. I know what it sounds like when it's putting out max BTUs. Okay, so I will like just tighten up the windscreen a little bit if I have to increase the heat inside there to get that bottle a little warmer if it's really cold or whatever. Okay, but this is the windscreen that I built for it. Okay, and like I said, is it dangerous? I don't think so. I don't think it's dangerous. Okay, but a little riskier than most. Okay, what can I say, right? I've never had a problem with an overheated bottle. I guess if you did it in the summer, you might be able to get that bottle hot enough to explode. Okay, unless you walk away from this thing, you can regulate it. It's easy to regulate. As soon as you pull that windscreen off, that air comes out, boom, gone, right? And that bottle gets cold again within seconds. Okay, all right, so there's that system. All right, now put that system aside. Okay, that's my favorite system. Okay, it works, and it works very well. This is the next one that I use. Okay, this is called a Brunton Crux. All right, and it sits on top of a fuel bottle. It screws on just like that one, screws on the top. But this is an external flame stove. Okay, and I'll just show you what the flame looks like. Where did I put my, I use the same windscreen for this one too. What do I do with it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so this one's real simple. Just turn the bail, right? Put it on until it's snug. Turn the bail handle till you hear the gas, and then light it. Okay, now that's an external flame stove. Okay, and then what I do is I put this around here, right? And there's enough room here. This windscreen comes up just high enough that when you put a pot on it, it makes a little heated area in there that heats up the bottle. Okay, that's for winter use, right? For summer use, early fall, spring, you don't need that. You just don't need it. Okay, I wanted to find a way that I could use one of these very convenient canister stoves in the winter, in the dead of winter, and I found a way of doing it. Okay, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so just going to undo this until it's fairly loose, but just sitting on top of it. All right, that's the Brunton Crux. Okay, the stove weighs, I don't know, 6 ounces, right? I like lightweight stuff that really works well and is pretty tough, durable. Okay, this fits the bill. There are other stoves like this on the market. I happen to like this one. That's all. And honestly, over the 40 years that I've been backpacking, I've been through a lot of different stoves, even newer ones. Right? I'll try something like this guy right here. Okay, I'll try it. I didn't like this one, so I don't use it. Okay, and I won't sell this one because my father gave it to me for Christmas. My father's deceased, so you get it, right? Okay, so that's the Brunton Crux, right? Same kind of system. I use the windscreen with it. This is a pot support. I mean a bottle support. Okay. And basically, it just increases the surface area of the bottom of the can. It allows you to put it on unstable ground. All right, it comes off. You know, you just kind of pop it off of there, and it folds up, right, into a small little package. This one happens to be made by Brunton. There are other companies that make these. I think one is just as good as another. I think the Jetboil actually comes with one. Okay. I think it's in here. Now, I don't use this stove that often, but sometimes I do. If I do go out in the spring or summer and it's fairly cool out there, I might use this stove. Because it's very efficient. Okay, this stove is probably more efficient than the reactor, but the reactor, in my opinion, works better under adverse conditions than this does. Okay, it handles the wind better, handles the cold better. The jet boil, honestly, I think it sucks in the cold. Okay, you may not think so. Maybe you got a newer version of this that I don't have. Okay, I hear the newer versions are better in the cold, but I've been keeping tabs on these things. That reactor, all the canister stoves, you got to hook up something like this. And when I tried something like this on the jet boil, it put the flame out. The flame sucked up all the oxygen and put the flame out, so I couldn't use it. Right? So I don't use this stove that often. We'll show you how it lights. I'll light it up. See if I can get another fuel bottle. I got fuel bottles out the yin yang. And there are different versions of this. And like I said, the newer winter jet boils work a little better in the winter, but I tell you, it's not the stove, it's all about the fuel, okay? That's why they went to a butane-propane mix, okay? Because it does better in the cold weather, but it's just not there yet, okay? The mixtures that they use now they have some winter mixtures, like I said before. They're still not a whole lot better than this, but they are better, okay? I haven't had a chance to use any of them yet, but I've been keeping track of their use, okay? Because I will be trying them out this winter to see if one of those winter mixtures will allow me to leave this home. I doubt it, but it might happen, okay? You know how the car industry, that motors haven't changed, lubrication has, right? That's why motors are lasting a lot longer than they used to and all that, because the oils are getting better, right? So I think it's the same with this. So let me turn this off. You got to turn it off first. Make sure the bail handle is off. This one screws on, right? Just like the rest of them. Now this one has a piezo ignition system, but it sometimes doesn't work. It worked that time, okay? So that's what you got, right? And then, you know, that little flame there heats up the bottle when you put it on. You just take this plastic thing off, put the bottle on top, and then put your lid on, you know, your water, put your lid on, and it boils in like 3 minutes, real quick, right? That one boils in like 3 minutes too, okay? But there's the jet boil, okay? Now I think because that flame is so slight, and I put the windscreen around it and the pots on top of it, it just snuffs it out, right? And it doesn't do that to the reactor. The reactor stays lit, okay? So, whatever. Now let's take this off. You never want to store your stove on the bottle screwed on, okay? It's just a good idea to take everything apart when you're finished with it, okay? After every use, sitting on the picnic table, unscrew the bottle. Because I have seen where it was cracked just a little bit, right? The guy only brought one of these for 4 days, and it completely drained his fuel, and he had no more, right? So like he was eating cold food for the rest of the trip, okay? Shit happens out there, guys. It really does, right? And it happens like that. Okay, so put this bail back, and here's the pot thingy, right, for the bottom of the fuel bottle, the fuel bottle thingy, right? I don't use them usually. Usually I don't use them. Usually I can find a flat space. All right, and then this is an apparatus that allows you to use a regular pot on top of this burner, okay? This thing right here. So I use it sometimes. It's not as efficient that way, but you can use it that way, okay? And, you know, a smaller fuel bottle will fit in here. The whole thing is nice and compact. You know, there it is, right? It's got a cozy around it. This thing turns yellow when your water starts to boil. This little flame thing turns yellow. It's really a pretty efficient system. Here's the heat exchangers on the bottom. Okay, I just like the reactor better. Trust me, it works better in cold weather than the jet boil. Okay, and like I said, you might be sitting there saying, nope, you're wrong. My jet boil works great in the winter, right? You probably got a fuel bottle that's you know, filled and, you know, full fuel bottle. Not getting into it. I just know what I know. All right. So there's that one. Okay. The jet boil. Okay. This is another stove that I might use. Right. Remember, these are my current go-to stoves for backpacking. Right. So put that one over there. Okay. Now let's get to this liquid fuel stove before we get to the alcohol. Okay. Okay. So this is basically the stove. This is an MSR Whisper Light liquid fuel stove that burns white gas. They also have them that burn pretty much anything that burns. Alcohol, kerosene, aviation fuel, gasoline, okay? But you have to have a stove specifically designed to burn everything. I think they call it the Whisper Light International. There's other stoves that do that as well on the market, okay? I have been purchasing MSR stoves since I was 11 years old, right? It is the company that I trust the most for stoves, right? I honestly have never had one of these stoves fail me in the bush. Neither a canister or a liquid fuel stove. Never. And I go out a lot, okay? So this is how you use this. This stove is a little messy to use at first, and I'll show you. I'm not going to light this one. This one's actually dangerous, okay? This is like a little nuclear bomb, okay? Just because of the way the system works, the fuel bottle has to be attached through the pump, right? The pump goes on the fuel bottle. You screw it on the fuel bottle. I'll show it. There's no fuel in this anyway. I can't even turn it on if I wanted to. Okay? Undo the cap of your fuel bottle. These are specifically designed to hold fuel for these stoves. Okay? You put that puppy in first. Let's see if I can get this fart in here. Alright? You screw it on, right? It's got threads on the inside of the bottle. Screw it on, okay? Nice and snug, right? And then what I do is, you got to flip this bail this way, over that way, okay? And I lick the end of this. Give it a little lubrication, okay? And to heat it up in the winter, okay? And then you kind of pop it on there. There we go, all right? And then this locks back here and keeps everything on it. Okay, so this is what the stove looks like on the ground. Okay, so just like that. Okay, and basically what you do is you pump the bottle, right? You pump it, 8, 10, 12, 16 times, whatever. Depends on how much fuel you have in the bottle. And then you turn the little nozzle here, right? This one hasn't been used in a while. All right. And then what happens is the fuel starts coming out of the ports. As soon as it does, you light it, okay? And it burns yellow for 30 seconds, a minute, all right? And it gets soot all over the place, right? That's another reason why I don't use these stoves that often. They're dirty, all right? They're dirty, right? And then, you know, soot builds up because of the preheating process. And then once you preheat it, this gas tube right here, right, gets so hot that the liquid in it turns to gas, and this thing gets to roaring blue flame, okay? And you're ready to go. Well, it takes a couple minutes to get it there, maybe 90 seconds, all right? All right, so that's that one. Liquid fuel stoves are very reliable. They can be dangerous. This pump has O-rings in it that will crack over time. If it leaks and you get that fuel near that flame and it gets to this bottle, oh man. I've never seen one explode though, honestly, I haven't. Okay, I've seen them leak. I've never seen one actually, I've seen them catch on fire, but not explode, okay? So I think they're pretty safe, all right? So that's the MSR Whisperlite liquid fuel stove, and the major plus to a liquid fuel stove is they do great in the winter, even if you don't have a windscreen, okay? They do absolutely great. Mountaineers use these stoves on, you know, Kilimanjaro, Everest, and Concagua or whatever down South America. They use these stoves, right? Liquid fuel stoves, because they work well in winter conditions, okay? Boom. That's its claim to fame, right? But I got this one working good in the winter too. So, boom. All right? Sometimes you do have to put something under the bottle, an Insulite pad or a piece of cardboard or a piece. I usually put my leather strop underneath of it, okay? Because my strop's pretty wide, right? So I get like a dual purpose thing out of the strop. And it kind of insulates it from the cold ground. Depends on where you put it, all right? Okay, there's that one. MSR Whisperlite. Badass stove. It really is. Works well in the winter. Okay, last, but certainly not least, is my alcohol stove. Okay? Now, like I said, you got a lot of guys that are going to watch this video. They're going to disagree with me, right? I don't see how they can. If you use one of these stoves, you gotta agree with what I'm saying, okay? Not very efficient, okay? They're just not, okay? Eventually, you're gonna end up carrying more fuel. Now, this is, I recommend that you burn HEET, H-E-E-T. It comes in a yellow bottle. It's the best stuff for alcohol stoves. It burns the cleanest. It burns the hottest. There might be something new out there that I don't know about, but HEET works very well. Better than denatured alcohol, better than 91%. I've tried it all. I've done the testing. HEET works the best, okay? Here's the stove, okay? And I'm not going to light this one either because this is an open flame. Don't want it in here, all right? I bought this, right? I'm a firm believer in going to the guy who does it the best. So if I'm looking for an alcohol stove, I'm going to research myself what works the best. This is Fancy Feast stove, okay? The configuration and the build technique that goes into building this is one of the best on the market because of how it's built. There's a wicking action that goes, this is wool felt or something in there, or fiberglass, something like that, okay? Anyway, the way it's configured, it's pretty efficient for an alcohol stove, okay? So, and then this is kind of like a pot support thing, I guess. I don't know. Never used this part of it, all right? So anyway, generally, you put about an ounce and a half of fuel in the stove, and you just light it, right? And then it's got a, you know, you can put this puppy on there like this, right? And okay, so, you know, you take an ounce, ounce and a half of this, whatever, right? You put it in the stove. It soaks into the wicking material. Now, all these stoves are built differently. This just happens to be one of the more efficient ones. One of the more hotter burning ones, right? If you use heat. And then you light it, right? And this right here is the windscreen, okay? And you just put your pot, it's got to be a smaller pot, right? Just put your pot on top of it, right? Now this one is one that does not need an external pot stand, right? The stand is built into the stove, which is really nice, because most of them you need a separate stand for the pot. This one you just put it on top and it heats your water. However, it's slow and inefficient. As far as I'm concerned, it is, right? There are guys who swear by these things, okay? But they do it a certain way every time, and they have a routine that they get used to with using a stove like this, and they consider it more efficient than something like this, okay? It's all about who you are and what you know, right? But, you know, I'm an advocate of the more you need, the less you know. The less you know, the more you need, right? But I still like my gear. I like equipment. I like stuff that works out there. I like gear that enhances my time in the outdoors, right? Gives me time to do other stuff. You know, instead of spending 2 hours building a fire just to cook, I spend 10 minutes, right? That kind of thing, right? So these are all convenience items that I'm really into, right? So there's the alcohol stove, and you know, you only put a couple of cups of water per ounce and a half of. There's a formula to all this that you got to practice, right? I tell you, look at this guy. He's called Shug Emery. SHUG, right? Space EMERY. Shug Emery, right? On YouTube. Watch his channel. That guy has this down to a science, okay? And those are the guys that are really good at using these alcohol stoves. He even uses them in the winter sometimes, but he likes using a liquid fuel stove in the winter also, because it's just better, right? Just all around better, right? It performs better. Because the colder this stuff is, like you gotta keep this stuff in your pocket. You gotta sleep with it, right? In the winter, in order for it to be halfway decent, right? So it's, you know, there's a lot of stuff to this, right? That I'm not saying right now, that you're gonna find out. And that's, you know, what makes all this stuff what it is, right? And how efficient that it is. There's systems to all this, okay? You know, it's just like, you know, you go to buy a stove, and the company that you're buying the stove from, they're only going to say good things about that stove. You got to hunt for the real reviews. Because I tell you what, on YouTube, there's a lot of reviewers that aren't telling the truth. And I am here to say that right now. There are some reviewers that will not tell you the truth about certain pieces of gear, and we all know why. Okay? Not everyone's like that, right? Chris Tanner, he's honest. There's a couple other guys that are honest about their experiences with this gear. But I tell you, I've watched some of these reviewers, and you can just tell. What the hell? You know? Come on, dude. Think we're stupid? Right? So, you know, that's why I'm always real on my videos. You get real usage out of things, right? And I'll give you the pros and cons to everything, right? And you know, I gave you the cons on the canister stoves. They're not good in the winter. And then what I did to combat that, right? What I did to make them better in the winter, right? And it works. Okay, so when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's like a religion to me, and I know more about this stuff than most things. Okay, I tell you, I know more about backpacking than I do about cars. You know, that kind of thing, right? So, I'll show you a few other accoutrements that go along with these stoves that make your time in the outdoors even more enjoyable. Okay, I usually carry a spice kit, right? And there's a couple of bags that comprise this spice kit of mine, right? And I like certain spices. I like garlic. I like hot red peppers, right? I like natural raw sugar. Here's the red pepper. Here's a garlic mix blend with little bits of bacon in it. Yeah, pretty cool. Here's the raw sugar. So I carry bags of, and this is a ditty bag that I have all kinds of stuff in. My water purification drops are in here. I did a video on this, Aqua Mira. Okay, it's like 14 bucks. Works very well, as long as the water's not too turbid, right? As long as it doesn't have a bunch of shit in it, okay? This stuff works really great. As long as it's fairly clear, the water, okay? If it's not, then filtering is the way to go in most of those circumstances, okay? You know, I carry a little bit of biodegradable soap, you know, for those not so fresh feeling in the morning. Right. I carry a little bit of water flavoring, Kool-Aid liquid, right? You know, just stuff like that, just to enhance your ability, your time in the outdoors. I carry a pack towel, right? This is a pack towel. Thing's huge. Add water and it like blows up the size of a swimming pool. Not really, but you know, right in the rain, pen, right in the rain. Cord, you know, I got some cordage in here, bank line, a lighter, a couple packs of matches, just accoutrements, stuff, right? And you know, I keep my sugar in here, I keep my spices in here, my other spices. There's a couple of more spices I like to take, but they are trip specific, okay? Sometimes I'll cook with a canteen cup, right? Especially if I'm using this stove right here. Canteen cups are great to use. They're lightweight. The aluminum ones. The stainless steel ones are a little heavy. The titanium ones are great, right? Who's that? I forget. Tokes. Tokes is one of the company. And then there's another canteen, Clean Canteen, I think. Titanium. Darn it. Canteen cup, right? And they call it a canteen cup because the old canteens used to fit right in here, right? I don't even think they use those canteens anymore. They use bladders, okay? The military, okay? Hell, I was using bladders when I was in, so. But this is a canteen cup. It's been around since, you know, like World War I, World War II, something like that, okay? And then I use this guy right here. Okay, this is a Tervis insulated cup, okay? I tell you, if I'm not cooking on a fire, and I do sometimes cook on a fire, okay? I like, you know,
sausages on a fire. I like to cook on a rock, bacon, stuff like that, steaks, right? I'm not a huge meat eater, but I like meat when I'm out there for some reason, okay? So, a Tervis cup. This is a 16 ounce insulated Tervis cup. I've tried a lot of different insulated cups. I've cracked them all, okay? Because what I'm akin to doing is pouring boiling water into a cup that's minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, right? If it's not up to the task, the plastic's going to crack. And that's what most of them do. They crack, okay? This one does not. I've never cracked a Tervis. And I got one that's 10 years old. Maybe 8. Something like that. But hundreds of times I've poured boiling water into it in cold conditions. Never cracked it. So, and like I always say that for a main meal, if I can't put it in this cup, top ramen, couscous, whatever, rice, and add boiling water to it and eat out of this cup, I usually don't bring it. If I gotta cook in a pot, if I have to put rice and beans in a pot, I usually won't bring it, right? Because these are not simmering stoves, right? These are boiling water stoves. So, okay? So I put it in here, add boiling water to it, let it rehydrate, and there's my meal. So I usually do that for dinner. You know, I have grits and oatmeal for breakfast. And then, you know, lunch is usually like good sweet stuff, right? Candy bars or something good, right? And that's it, right? And I tell you, this stove right here, the MSR Whisper Light, I've had this for a long time. I would say 15 years. Never done me wrong. Never, right? But the thing that wears out is not the stove, but the pump, okay? The pump. And you can buy extra pumps, okay? And from what I've been able to ascertain, the newer pumps will fit the older stoves because that's an older stove and this is a brand new pump. And this looks a lot different than the pump that actually came with the stove, and it works well, okay? So they continually upgrade their designs. You know, it's Mountain Safety Research, MSR. They do a lot of research and development to make sure that their products stay on top for guys who are into extreme adventure. Mountaineers, rock climbers, you know, wilderness backpackers, I mean, you know, okay? So this is the part that wears out on the liquid fuel stoves. This is pretty damn durable. But the first pump that came with that stove, I got, I don't know, 8 years out of it, something like that. And what happens is the O-rings inside, right? The O-rings start to dry out, right? They dry rot. And I have a you know, rebuild kit, right? This thing right here is a kit. It's got all kinds of O-rings, and this will rebuild 3 or 4 different stoves, okay? And I very rarely, I mean, it's got diaphragms for the pump and all that stuff, okay? Very rarely do I have to ever rebuild a stove. I would only do it if I was out there and it failed. I've never had that happen, right? I've always replaced things before it happened. So I've never had one fail. I'm always pretty proactive about my gear. So, and this is a pot gripper, right? Pot gripper works real well. This is one of the older style, right? But it works very well for most pots. Anything with a lid or anything with a rim, a pot, right? You can pick it up, right? Because you're not picking this up while it's on a hot stove, not with your hands, all right? So there's the older type, right? I don't know, $3-4 at REI. And then MSR has their own, really super lightweight, right? Does the same thing that one does in a smaller, lighter package. Okay? So, And I usually keep this with the alcohol stove, right? With the alcohol stove or the MSR Whisper Light, because this pot has a handle, right? This pot has a handle, right? So I really don't need a pot gripper for it. So I think that's it. Guys, I hope you sat through this video, because this is going to be one of those videos where we're going to be doing a giveaway, okay? And, you know, from now on, I'm putting the giveaways at the end. If you want to watch my videos, watch them to the end, and there might be a giveaway. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you in the description of the video that there's a giveaway coming, more than likely, okay? This is what we're giving away on this video. Now, this is really important, okay? In order to win this pouch, right? This is a shoulder bag, right? Tinder pouch, whatever you want to call it, right? Made by Donald Gamber at Gamber Leather Crafting, right? In my opinion, one of the best leather workers out there. If you need something made from leather, I would start with him, okay? He's the guy that I generally support first, okay? And I don't have any problem saying that. I know there's other leather workers out there. I know there is. But I don't have any problem saying who I think you should start with, okay? Start with Donald Gamber. Now, it depends, you know, on what you want to have made, but I would start with him. And here's the pouch. It's got, you know, some hand tooling, right, on the cover of the pouch. This is elk hide, all right? Got some hand tooling there. It looks like a eagle or a hawk, right? And you open it up, and there's a nice big pouch to put tinder in, whatever, doesn't matter. It's pretty big. It's pretty big, right? There it is. It's all leather, all elk hide, looks like, right? So we're giving this away on this video, okay? Now, this is really important, what I'm getting ready to say next, okay? Because I've had problems with this before, okay? If you want to win this, it's really easy. Watch the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. That's what I'm asking you to do. Really simple stuff. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, I can't share this video. You can. There are ways of doing it. You just got to know how to do it. Mike McGowan is really good at sharing videos when others think they can't be shared. Right? So get a hold of Mike, ask him how you share the video, because if you don't share the video, you're not in the running for this pouch. Okay? Subscribe and watch the video. Okay? Put a comment down below as well, please, so that I have your name, right? And then I will, this is real important too, because I've had problems with this in the past. Guys don't, you know, some guys will win, right? And they won't tell me they won. So, I don't know who to give the damn prize to, right? So, if you want to win this, comment, subscribe to the channel, share it, and whatever the other thing was, okay? And you might win this pouch. I will announce the winner of the pouch next week in the comments of this video. Next week, these are very general terms now. You're just going to have to check back, okay? Just check back on the comments. I'll make sure that it's up near the top. Whoever wins, because I'm going to put all the names in a random generator that are on that comments, right? So you got a comment, and the random generator will pick the winner. And then whoever the winner is, I'm going to say it in the comments of the video next week, and you'll win this pouch. Okay, this is the one you're going to win right here. Beautiful. He does beautiful work. Beautiful, right? And then, you know, you give me your yeah, I'll give you my phone number if you don't want to put it in the comments. Yeah, I need your address and your name so I can send it to you, right? And if you tell me, right, your address and your name, the guy that wins, I will send it to you. If you don't tell me your address and name, I can't send it to you. All right? It's pretty simple. Okay? So there's that. Right? We're going to be giving that away on this video. Right? And that's it. I wanted to show everybody this. This is my new Hidden Woodsman, Malcolm Coder day pack. Right? The Day Rock. This is his newest best-selling design, right? Beautiful. I've used it a couple of times, but it's getting to be the fall season, and I'm going to be using it more, and then I'll do a review on it and tell you what I think about it. I already think it's the bee's knees. All right, so, okay, guys, that's it. Let me put this up here. All right, guys, it's Doug Wilson from Yellow Hawk Customs Outdoors. I hope you enjoyed the stove video. I gave you a lot of information in this video. I know it's fairly long, but information costs a little bit of time sometimes. Okay? All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.